Today I'm going to make some delicious meatballs, and I'm going to show you my recipe. You can start out with about 3 pounds of ground beef. This is 85% lean. We're going to use some Ritz Crackers. I have the garlic butter flavor, some Parmesan and Romano grated cheese, some low-fat buttermilk, Italian style breadcrumbs. I'm adding some pepper jack cheese, some Parmesan Romano pasta sauce, of course an onion, an egg, some garlic. I have about a teaspoon of oregano and a teaspoon of basil, and I'm going to also use some quick oats. Alright, let's put it all together and I'll show you how it goes. First we're going to take the ground beef and put it in a container so we can mix. Then I'm going to add the cup of oatmeal, crack an egg, add the spices, the oregano and the basil. Okay, we're just going to mix the ingredients in this pan here. I have the oatmeal, the ground beef, the egg, and the spices. Then I'm going to add the cheese next. I'm using pepper jack cheese because it already has some flavoring in it that I like to have throughout the meatballs, a little bit of spice. So we're going to put about a cup of cheddar jack in. Then we'll add the other cheese, the Parmesan Romano. And this one I'm going to add about a half a cup. The breadcrumbs, these are also seasoned, but without cheese. So we're going to add about a half a cup of those. Next we'll take the Ritz Crackers. Now sometimes I use the Ritz Crackers alone without all the breadcrumbs, but I do like the seasonings in the breadcrumbs. So I do the mixture, a little of everything, and it comes out with a very nice meatball. So in this case I'm going to take a stack of crackers, something like this, and just crunch them up. Don't need to fuss with it because they deteriorate real quickly, but they do add a little richness because they're kind of buttery. So I used about a half of a stack for that. Here's where you can add salt and pepper if you like. I don't really see the need to add that because there are some things in here that are kind of salty and peppery. But if that's what you like to do when you cook, go ahead at this point. Now I'm going to chop up the onion and the garlic, and I'll be right back. I'm using 1 large Vidalia onion. People use a lot of different onions when they cook, but I seem to like to buy just Vidalias and use them for everything. I think they're great. If you're eating them raw or you're eating them cooked, they don't let you down. Alright, now I have the pile of onions and garlic. I'm just going to throw that in. I like to make the onions kind of small because they have a tendency to make meat fall apart, like ground beef fall apart, so I want them to be small enough that they don't cause any of that with a little meatball. Alright, let's take some pasta sauce. I have a measuring cup here. I want to put in about half a cup of pasta sauce. And then I also want to put in about a half a cup of buttermilk. Nice and creamy. All right, let's mix it up. All right, there's a very nice meatball mix. This is the consistency that you want. It's not falling apart, it's still moist, and you can see that all the ingredients are mixed throughout. So we're going to form this into meatballs, and I'm going to put it on my broiler pan. Take a look over here. I have the broiler pan sitting in this over the sink here so that I can line the meatballs up and we can broil them. Get a nice crispy edge on them and get them very well done. I'm going to use a scooper to get these out so that they're all about the right size. I like meatballs to be about this big. Some people like them a little smaller, but I think this goes good with another pasta meal, or if you're using them in a meatball sandwich or something like that. All right, I'm going to roll these up and I'll be right back. I'm using the broiler pan so that all the fat drips off of the meatballs. I really don't like it when the meatballs are done in a frying pan and all the grease stays in the pan. We want all the grease to go away from these so that you're left with a nice moist meatball, but without all the extra fat. Also, we're going to cook these till they're 165 degrees in the broiler. That way the meat is safe to eat. You should do that unless you're using irradiated ground beef. Then you can cook your meatballs a little bit on the rare side because they're safe. If it's irradiated ground beef, then you don't have to cook it to the full temperature because it's been treated with an electronic beam to kill the bacteria. Otherwise, I would cook the ground beef thoroughly. Makes quite a big batch of meatballs, but I plan to use them for several meals, and one of them is to go with stuffed shells that I made last night, and I'll put the link to that video there. They go very nicely together. Okay, all the meatballs have been rolled out. We have about 34 meatballs on this tray, nice size meatballs. So that's about what you can expect out of 3 pounds with all the other ingredients that I added. Okay, I'm going to pop it into the broiler now, and as they start to brown, I'll show you. I'll show you, and then we're going to turn them over a little bit as they go so they brown evenly on all sides. I'll be back. I just want to show you how far away from the element these meatballs are going to be. So I have them on the second level, but on some of them this is the first level closest to the broiler. Alright, the broiling is going on here. You can see how nice and crispy brown they're turning on the tops. And we're going to flip them over. You can see they're heating from the bottom as well because of the airflow through the broiler pan. But I do want to get them a little crispy. So I'm going to turn them all over and let them broil some more. They're looking good. Alright, the meatballs are almost finished broiling. To get ready for them to come out of the oven, I'm going to take a jar of pasta sauce and just put a little bit on the bottom of this pan. And we're going to make a couple different pans. This is Parmesan Romano. And when we get the tray out here, we're going to immediately put the meatballs into the sauce in the pan. Okay, here they are. They're steaming hot. A little sizzle in there yet. Don't they look great? Let's check the temperature. You want to make sure they're at least 165 degrees. We have 180. As they rest a little bit, they'll rise a little bit more than 165. I took them out at 167. The ones I checked, so we have them completely well done. All right, let's dunk them in the sauce. And I do this so that they stay nice and moist, because right now they're perfect. And you can see the reason I used the broiler pan here. Not only is the grease dripped off here, but it has traveled on down to the containing pan underneath. Now let's take that pan and add a little more pasta sauce to the top. You can't go wrong using too much sauce here, because if someone adds it to their pasta dish, or they add it to a meatball sandwich, or however you like to use a meatball, you would like to have plenty of sauce, I'm sure. I'm going to go back to the Parmesan and Romano cheese and sprinkle some of this on too. This will bring out the flavor of the cheese within the meatballs, which I can smell. As it's been broiling here, we can smell lots of cheese and good flavors. Alright, then all the person needs to do is dig right in, or if you want to save this for later, even freeze it, you can just pop it in the oven and heat it till it's warm. I hope you liked this meatball video. Thanks for watching. If you like my recipes, please subscribe and come back and see some more.